Hey, Paul.
How are you guys?
Good new, bro.
Lekker, man. Happy 1st of November.
Yeah, don't even start.
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
Yes.
Yeah, you sound like an old man when you start conversations like that. Eh? Time was going so fast.
But yeah, it's true. But it literally is.
It is. We've actually traditionally we actually don't do the show over December. Eh?
No.
In the past.
Mm-mm.
So there's only 4 episodes left for the year.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. But we've done well this year. In fact, I'm going to start off with a congratulations to us. Last week's episode was the most downloaded episode that we've had across the platforms, including audio, since the podcast began. So
Crazy, huh?
pretty happy about that.
Yeah. Stoked, man. It's it's nice when you have those little upticks in progress. Huh?
Yeah, you need them along the way to keep the inspiration going. But yeah, anyway, let's continue a bit from last week. There's a continuation story. Obviously, we spoke about ATNS and the detrimental effect on South Africa's airlines and, of course, the passengers. This article came yesterday, was in The Citizen, and it summarizes a few aspects that may have been unclear. So Barbara Creasy said she is very concerned about the woes at air traffic navigation services after warnings by the CIA a year ago that due processes were not being followed at some airports in the country. According to current and former air traffic controllers employed at ATNS, the organization is critically understaffed, with shifts requiring 6 controllers, now frequency manned by only 2 or 3. She says, I meet every 2 weeks with the airline industry and ATNS. I spend an enormous amount of time on the phone to the chair of the board. I inherited this situation in which our 320 air traffic navigation procedures have not been reviewed for 10 years. This is a requirement that they should be reviewed every 5 years by the SACAA. We have a 6-month exemption for certain of what we call the in-flight procedures. We've now submitted 23 priority procedures to the CAA for verification and approval. Creasy convened an urgent oversight meeting to discuss the ongoing flight delays at various airports across the country. The meeting came after ATNS suspended procedures for all instrument navigation flight approaches at George, Kimberley, Polokwane, Mthatha, and Richards Bay indefinitely. That was last Friday. Other airports, including OR Tambo, Cape Town, Uppington, East London, seem to still have at least one approved approach available. And then just to clarify something we did say last week, thanks to Ian Finley for clarifying this for us, the Joburg TMA did not actually go to Class G airspace. They did manage to sort things out last minute.
Okay.
And they came up with a solution so that NOTAM didn't actually turn into anything real. Probably some very tired air traffic controller asked to please do another shift.
Well, good on them. And I'm glad they managed to rescue that situation because, it's pretty blind if it had gone that way.
Obviously, speaking about the show doing well last week, so thanks to everyone that did watch and, also ended up subscribing to the show. That's awesome because obviously we're now reaching a few more people. But you and I were trying to put our finger on, like, if only we knew what made a good show. And I think when you're talking about a subject like that, it's quite difficult in lots of ways because it's a very negative subject, and particularly when it's negative about the country. It's so easy to be pro stuff. Anti stuff is difficult. But I think people want to know what's going on. And when you're stuck at an airport and you're delayed and it's because of something like this, you start to ask questions. And then I think, let me find out what's actually happening here. And I think people obviously searching and finding our pod along the way. But it is a remarkably sad state of affairs that, as you mentioned, is now the beginning of November. We've got a very, very busy period coming up now, traditionally busy period, that is no doubt going to be quite heavily affected by this story because this ain't getting fixed overnight. this is a major, major problem that is going to be with us for a while to come. And if you're understaffed, particularly in that key area of air traffic control, where, believe you me, you want very experienced, capable people sitting in those chairs, directing your aircraft around. And now you've got passengers that are somewhat concerned and saying, but, asking us, is this something you should be concerned about? Obviously, there are other things in place to make sure that things like mid-air collisions don't happen. But the reason they don't happen is because you've got all those layers of security. And the last thing you want now is a situation where, okay, the airlines must just sort this out amongst themselves and we'll just get the job done. That's not how aviation works.
I think that's what frustrates most of us that are in the industry is that, as we've said, for a long time coming, we've seen this shitstorm coming. It's been the writing's been on the wall for a hell of a long time. And now that it's still starting to come to a fore, it's like, but how could you guys not do something about this ages ago? Stop the rot.
Yeah.
Before it got out of hand like this. So that's the frustrating part. I mean, given all the nonsense we've seen in the years gone by with state-owned airlines and government corruption and the shit that it causes, it's frustrating. But let's hold out and just hope that it does get sorted out sooner rather than later.
So, Creasy wasn't she looking after wildlife or something to that effect?
I don't know.
How much faith do you have in Barbara Creasy?
Fuck all, actually, to be honest.
Yeah. Should we leave it there?
Let's just leave it there.
Next story. Qatar Airways has announced that with the start of the Southern Hemisphere summer season at the end of October, it will increase its flight frequencies to South Africa. According to the carrier, Cape Town will operate 11 weekly flights, rising to 12 during the festive season. Johannesburg services will be 18 per week from basically today. And Durban will be served 5 times a week via Mozambique. It's a bit of a mishmash of a schedule that Qatar seem to have, but they, I suppose, are supporting us. Yeah, they got that's quite a decent frequency.
They're also capitalizing on all these new interline agreements and
they're very pro
code shares and all of this kind of stuff. They've got code shares with just about everyone, so they must be.
And they're a partner with
Airlink.
Proper business partner, not just a Mickey Mouse code share. There's a CRJ 200-700 full flight simulator relocated to Johannesburg, which is kind of cool because you and I have a very close affiliation to that device. We flew that device plenty in our happy 10 years at SA Express, and that simulator is now sitting with us here in Johannesburg. Can actually see it. Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. It feels like an old friend has returned to come say how's it.
Yeah, look, there's 2 boykies that are very much looking forward to that simulator.
Yeah.
And it's quite cool that it actually is here because it's been months, if not years, in the planning and formulating stages to try and get this device here.
It was a bit of a project, but it's here now, and hopefully get it approved soon. And then nice to add a bit of, or even more value, I suppose, to the South African aviation or African aviation training industry. That's what it's all about. Let's head over to Europe. Amsterdam Schiphol Airport will increase airline fees by 41% next year to fund improvement projects. Now, that's a major, major increase. Newer, quieter planes will receive discounts, while older, noisier aircraft will face surcharges. KLM has criticized the hike, warning it will lead to higher ticket prices and affect the airport's competitiveness. How fair is it to whack it up 41% because you're flying an older gen. And what is older gen? So it's like
I was just going to ask the same question, because most of the equipment flying around now is,
particularly in Europe. I mean, geez, every aircraft you go past, you see that's it's like an air show. There's so many Neos and all sorts of fancy things flying around. So what is new and what is old?
So let me understand this as well. Are they going to penalize the airlines, or add the fees to the airlines that are operating these older generation airplanes?
Yeah.
So that fee is going to fall on the passengers that are flying with that airline. It's going to create a bit of an unfair advantage in the price wars there.
Yeah, well, this is the point. So a lot of these things, they start off with a good intention, I suppose, and but inevitably that end user that's paying for a ticket to take his family on a holiday is going to be forking out more money.
Yeah.
But they seem, it's been in the news with us quite a lot over the last year and a bit. They're doing some crazy things there. Wasn't that block off certain times? There was a noise pollution time. I mean, this is a major European hub, and they're coming up with these.
I think most of their planes
ideas
get designed in some of those special coffee shops in Amsterdam.
100%. Yeah.
So what's happening next? Riyadh Air ordered 60 Airbus 321 Neos to support its launch in 2025 and plans to reach 100 destinations by 2030. So they've gone the 321 Neo route, eh?
Yeah, so they're going to have a mix of a bit of a mixed fleet there. I'm incredibly excited is probably not the right word, but Riyadh to me seems to be a major opportunity. If you're at an airline now and you are looking at making a move, and of course you've got the your usual suspects as the options. You got your Emirates, your Qatars, and Etihads and whatnot. And you're thinking, should I make the move now? Is it worth the risk just hanging on to your current job a little bit longer, getting in your application there at Riyadh, and maybe, I know seniority is not a thing with this. I mean, they don't have seniority like we used to around here, but you still will be one of the, you'll be part of that first group that, got this thing off the ground.
Yeah.
And it could potentially, place you in a decent position. So anyway, if you go across to their website, they got a whole lot of current job openings. Let's have a look at what they say for an FO. Riyadh Air, based in the heart of Saudi Arabia's capital, is a new innovative national airline redefining the future of air travel with a vision to position Saudi as a global aviation and trade center. Riyadh Air aims to revolutionize the industry. The modern, digitally driven airline will connect the kingdom to over 100 destinations. It says, are you ready to take your career to new heights? Colleagues joining us on the flight deck should be highly motivated and collaborative crew members that uphold the highest levels of safety and professionalism. The role is Riyadh-based with a full-time roster. A mixture of international and domestic duties from our Riyadh base can be expected. You will need to possess a minimum of 2,000 hours total flying time with multi-crew, multi-jet engine aircraft. Only time in the operating seat will be counted, not simulators, flight engineers, or second officer time. Additionally, mandatory requirements include a valid ATPL, unrestricted Class 1 medical, and ICAO English Level 5 or above. This is your opportunity to shape the future of air travel. Bring your best and show us what you can. Own this position with Riyadh Air. Please submit your application. So, that's on their website. That was for an FO. It's quite a nice website, actually. And for me, I'll say it again, this is an exciting... you don't often have... You have airlines starting all the times. You don't have an airline of this size and backing starting all the time. This is quite a big thing. Yeah. I think if it was me, I'm not in that market, but if I was looking for a next gig, I might be throwing my CV in there.
Yeah, I think it's also stems from when you've seen the success that the ME3 that they call them, the Qatar, Emirates, and Etihad have had.
Yeah,
I think that's also where there's a lot of, expectations for a successful airline to grow out of this because of
true
how well the Middle East is doing.
True. A more pressing topic for the pilot industry. Are you keeping your eye on this safety starts with 2? So this is like a campaign. That's an important campaign, I think. I think you should get behind this.
No, you absolutely have to, because there's a lot of numpties out there that are pushing towards this, single pilot to no pilot type of operation, because we saw that last week the Chinese have released this new aircraft that's a cargo drone that's capable of carrying something like 5 tons or something like that. And there was a caption there that said, "Yeah, here it comes," and they were worried about just single pilot operations.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a survey here shows 76% of the public is uncomfortable with the idea of planes flying without pilots.
Yeah.
That's the second step. Step 1 will be, we don't need 2 pilots anymore. So we're going to pull one out. So pilots around the globe, including those represented by ALPA, the European Cockpit Association as well, and the International Federation of Airline Pilots, along with pilots representing the associations of Star Alliance pilots, the One World Cockpit Crew Coalition, and the SkyTeam Pilots Association, are unified in the fight against reduced crew operations. We are engaging in a worldwide campaign to ensure the current standards that have helped make aviation the safest form of transport won't be eroded. So yeah, their website, safetystartswith2.com. I think all pilots, and we should actually push it on this show, going forward, forever now.
100% agree.
Get behind that and make the public aware. So if you are asked a question about it, if someone non-aviator asks, but can't these things fly themselves, send them the link to
Safety Starts with 2.
Safety Starts with 2, because there's a very well written articles in there. There's some downloadable social media things as well that you can use if you want to post and promote it. And I think this is an awesome opportunity. If you look at all those unions that they're talking about there and all these alliances, this is a very important thing. And it's an opportunity for all the pilots around the world to stick together and focus on this. You spent a bit of time in the sim sitting, but would you be happy flying in an aircraft with just one pilot when shit's hitting the fan up front there?
Not at all.
No ways.
Not at all.
No
There's
ways.
no ways. I mean, how often we see it, and we advocate it, that your pilot monitoring is probably more important than his duties, or his or her duties are more important than the pilot flying, because
absolutely.
Backup eyes and ears. It's absolutely imperative, and no, fuck that idea, man.
No ways. Yeah. So let's get behind that. I think we must push that and go check it out. It's a good campaign if you're a pilot to get behind.
I see Boeing have raised $21 billion through a public stock offering to try and recover from a challenging year and ongoing strikes. So these funds will be used for debt repayment, working capital, capital expenditures, and investments in subsidiaries.
Yep. So that's 21 billion. I think Moody's announced as well that Boeing, they didn't say Boeing are going to get through it, but the signs are there that it's doable. That it looks like they're going to push through. We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
21 billion through public stock offerings. I've got Boeing stock. I've got one. It's worth. I bought that when after it plummeted. I thought, yes, I'm getting a deal here.
Yeah.
It's literally halved since then.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So it's a good deal to climb in now.
Well, you don't know how much it's still going to be affected, but yeah.
Yeah, I just don't even get involved in that kind of stuff because the minute I put my fingers on stock, like it'll plummet. You'll lose everything.
Anyway.
Yeah. So some sad news about Spirit Airlines coming out this week that they plan to furlough about 330 pilots as well due to ongoing financial losses. The airline's also selling aircraft and implementing $80 million in cost-cutting plans, including workforce reductions. And additionally, that Spirit and Frontier Airlines are revisiting now their merger talks.
Yeah, so the merger talks still going on, but 330 pilots is a lot of pilots, eh? Yeah.
I hate it when that happens because, it
has a knock-on effect.
It does have a knock-on effect because that's a big group of pilots that now go and fill gaps where there are other opportunities. And it's like, I feel for the guys that, probably are being shortlisted or about to get into an airline, and then more qualified guys come in and they end up zicking those positions.
Exactly.
It's
but the previous story is why this is all happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just in such a potential boom for airlines and around the world, but you're restricted. You've got this Boeing situation, which certainly hasn't helped, and you've got the supply chain stuff that's affecting Airbus, and then you lumped with problems like this where more pilots are losing their jobs. So,
but you see that in aviation. I mean, there's always ups and downs.
Aviation is so fickle. The margins are so small. It is so difficult to make money. It's in fact at times nearly impossible to make money. That's why the opening story and last week about having to have your regulators and those things must run 100% so that airlines can go and do their job.
Yeah.
It's complicated enough as it is. to add in other complexities is a nightmare. I like this one. Delta Airlines now bans flight attendants with side hustles as influencers from posting photos in uniform on social media. The policy aims to prevent employees from using the Delta brand to gain influencer deals. Delta's strict social media rules have led to lawsuits over alleged retaliation and discrimination. Expect to see more of this. So the company you work for is a brand.
Yes.
And they're a brand on its own, and that brand holds a bit of value. So in the past, what you'd have is people, supporting the company they work for by taking photos and posting that on social media. But there's so much money that influencers are making on social media that the companies are saying, hang on, you making this money now off the back of
our brand.
So you're going to see a lot more of that going forward. And I suppose it's a bit difficult to wrap your head around, but having your own brand is, you won't be able to piggyback off companies.
So I'm just chuckling because I'm thinking of something that we heard yesterday was, these people have obviously gotten fairly used to making a bit of bucks off of their side hustles. You take it away now and they're going to be forced to do a reverse OnlyFans type Don't even know if we should talk about that.
I think I was exited. So, Leon told us about this. You go ahead. It was your decision to mention it. Reverse OnlyFans.
Yeah,
so what's a reverse OnlyFans?
So he reckons.
Yeah.
If you're in a predicament where you're so broke that you can't make money off of social media, you're going to start a reverse OnlyFans site.
Yeah, which only works for dudes.
Yeah. So how it works is you end up spamming all your mates with
dick pics,
which forces them to pay you not to send them to them.
You send them dick pics every day until they pay you to stop sending them. Reverse OnlyFans.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, back to flying. A federal court ruled that Southwest Airline Pilots Association can sue Southwest Airlines over claims that the airline threatened Czech pilots to discourage union activities. The case focused on the airline's alleged isolation and threats towards the group responsible for pilot training and evaluation. So the instructors and that at Southwest, did they try and unionize or?
Yeah, must have.
It sounds like an instructor group. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows aviation-wise in the States.
No. I think they have a fair set of challenges on their hands at the moment.
A New Jersey woman is suing JetBlue after breaking a tooth on a frozen ice cream sandwich served during her flight from New York to Paris. She claims JetBlue was negligent for not serving the ice cream at a safe temperature and is seeking up to $172,000 in compensation under the Montreal Convention. Fair?
What a crock of shit.
$172,000
For chipping your tooth
on an ice cream sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, just when you thought that the world couldn't get any weirder.
Yeah, Crimea
For shit's
River.
sake.
How's that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever got yourself in deep water with something like this. United Airlines pilot, his name was Ryan, was arrested at Edinburgh Airport for having a stun gun in his luggage, which is illegal in the UK. He claimed the incident was accidental as he didn't realize the gun was in his bag, leading to a fine instead of a jail sentence. Stun guns are considered firearms in the UK. I wouldn't have, unlike in many US states where they are legal. Maybe throw it out there. Has anyone got themselves in hot water with, I think, particularly medical stuff? You can get yourself caught. So maybe something you take that sort of, you don't even need a subscription for in one country. You go to another country and it's an illegal substance and you can get yourself in some serious hot water.
Yeah, I think that can happen. I mean, I was surprised to hear a little while back. I mean, like, codeine in some places is banned. Like,
Yeah.
Shit, okay.
Yeah.
And
I live on codeine.
oh, yes.
Yeah, so maybe let us know if you've got yourself caught with something like that, and did you explain your way around it? It's easier to explain your way around those things in South Africa.
Yeah.
A couple of randellas.
Yeah, I just give me the R200 permission slip there.
China has launched its 14th crewed space mission. The Chinese are going full tilt with the space stuff. Elon is in a bit of trouble for chatting to Putin. Elon's eggs are all in the Trump basket, I think.
Yeah, and I think all those oaks are on the same WhatsApp group by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and then a continuation story. So, did we miss last week that those astronauts came back? Because there's a story here. A NASA astronaut was hospitalized for medical observation after returning from a 235-day space mission, while the other 3 crew members were cleared to return home. The astronaut is in a stable condition. Was that the crew that was supposed to be there for 7 days, or is this something else?
I actually don't know because I must have missed that.
That's why I'm actually hesitant to go too deep into that story unless it's all rubbish. But it says the mission marked the longest flights of SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft and faced delays due to scheduling and weather conditions. So it must be a different one.
Must be.
It must be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back with you here. So
Qantas
has ended over 20 years of Boeing 717 operations. That's an old area.
Well, that is a beast of an area.
Yeah, it was like a DC-9 slash.
Yeah, it was
MD.
It was like a modern DC-9 with it had EFIS and
had fan engines.
Yeah, I think it had BMW engines.
Okay, well, that makes it.
And the DC-9 is such a fantastic airplane to fly. Awesome. And I can just, if it was slightly more modern, it would have been ideal. So that 717 must have been an awesome plane to fly. And that the Qantas 717s, they famous, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, so they retiring those now with the last flight taking place on the 26th of October, which was last week, from Sydney to Canberra. And Yeah, the 717s will be largely used by Qantas, Link, Jetstar, and now being replaced by A220s.
That's also a cool aeroplane, but they got issues with engines, don't they?
I believe so.
More seats and greater range. Yeah. So 220 is going to be a popular aircraft. But yeah, it's a bit sad there because I suppose it's one of the old hot roddy aircraft that no longer in use.
Just don't take them near anywhere Amsterdam.
Yeah, no, they're not going to be getting a discount there.
Yeah, and I see that Qantas is also upgrading the economy class seats on 10 of its A330-200 aircraft with features like larger screens and USB-C charging. This aligning them with the future A350-1000s, and these upgrades will start in mid-2025, finish by the end of 2026, mainly benefiting passengers on routes to key Asia-Pacific destinations. And from 2027, we'll see these A330s be replaced by new A350s and Boeing 787s.
Yeah, so that upgrade, I wrote a note there just so I don't forget. I mean, who would have thought that having USB-C charging stations at your seat now actually affects who you buy a ticket on?
Yeah.
You know, because you need stuff like that, and the comfortable cabins are becoming basically a requirement for everyone, and being able to charge your own devices is hell of a important.
Well, the rate that these things need charging, it's
yeah, particularly when they get old.
Wireless. Yeah,
exactly. Mine is no longer. My cell phone is done.
Yeah.
As I said, last week was amazing for the pod. It's exciting time around, obviously, for us with the CRJ and that going in. It's been an awesome year, still a bit of it to go, but definitely now in the final stretch. Take the opportunity now to thank everyone for the growth that we experienced this year, particularly on the video side of things. The video, the YouTube side has grown drastically this year. And we're very, very grateful. And obviously couldn't do that without the Patreon support. So thank you so much to all the Patreons. And if you want to become a Patreon, your link will be there in the show notes. There was awesome UFC last week.
It was brilliant.
Did you see
old
Rob Whittaker got his teeth shattered by Chimaev, who looks like they're going to now link up the Kamzat fight with Drickus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think Drickus is going to be fighting Strickland. I think they're gonna put Kamzat against Drickus. I think anyway.
That's going to be an interesting.
It's
going to be
Yeah, I think so. And then they're probably going to put Usman against Strickland, and then the winner of that fight will get a title shot. So. Yeah, UFC's been awesome. And there's been a couple of very good podcasts out as well. If you didn't listen to Rogan and Trump, a very, very good pod. But one that was even better that came out yesterday that I started watching last night and I couldn't stop was Rogan with the Vice President, J.D. Vance, or Vance, if you're in America.
J.D. Vance.
Yeah. That was excellent. That looks the next... He's in line. That is proper presidential.
Yeah, he's meant to be Biden's vice if Biden wins.
Trump wins.
Sorry, I meant to fuck.
Yeah, Biden ain't fucking doing it.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
So if Trump wins, he's
Trump's vice president, but it was a very, very good pod.
Cool.
So check those out. It's the weekend. I'm trying to be a little bit more strategic with, we have this sort of joke between myself and Ryan because Ryan and I come up with the most unbelievably good ideas, and we tend to do them, and then we stop doing them. But one thing that is important that's been driving me crazy this year is my inconsistency in when the show becomes available. So we stuck to late afternoon Friday. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening on a Friday. That's when you can expect the pod on YouTube.
Okay.
So that it's available for you on Friday evening, South African time. That's the plan. I might change it. You know,
Just stick to it.
but that's the plan. Yeah, I hope you have a good weekend ahead, everyone. Thank you again for the wonderful support. And the world's premier aviation podcast is very grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Catch you next week.
Bye for now.
Cheers.